Welcome back to Movie Recap. Today I'm gonna show you a 2016 Chinese Hong Kong crime action film called Operation Mekong. Spoilers ahead. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The movie begins with a narration of drug abuse that causes harm to Chinese people. Then the narrator states that drugs are synonymous with the Golden Triangle that situates Thailand, Myanmar, and Laos's borders because the land has long been a haven for criminals and drug dealers. Because of that, the Golden Triangle becomes a drug empire. Then, the Mekong River, a link to 3 countries for supplies, becomes an ideal route for drugs to enter China from the Golden Triangle. Now, the Golden Triangle is known as the Hell's Gate of the South. In the year 2011, 2 Chinese commercial vessels are traveling across the Mekong River in the waters of the Golden Triangle. As they travel, a man sees 4 boats sailing towards their ship to ambush them. Meanwhile, in Beijing, the Chinese Prime Minister receives a report about the situation on the Mekong River. While on the other hand, Thailand intercepts 2 Chinese cargo ships on the Mekong River. Then the Thailand military officer informs the reporters about their exchanging fires with over 10 Chinese fishers as they uncover drugs on their vessel. However, while the Thai police is in contact with the Chinese military, they can't interfere with the case as the Thai military holds the evidence, and still completing the investigation. So, the minister sends Captain Gao Gang to lead a band of elite narcotics officers to uncover the truth behind the murders. 2 days later, a reporter informs the viewers that the Thai military confirms that the 13 Chinese sailor victims are crew members. Meanwhile, Gao talks with the minister about the Mekong River's crime scene. He says that the bullet hole distribution and trajectories clustered around the same spot, and confirmed that the bullets were fired stationary. He also adds about finding possible bullet scratches on a metal panel on one of the ships. To minister's disbelief, the Chinese military officer also reports that 2 weeks before the shooting, his intel discovers an ambush of a drug deal as they discover the number of methamphetamine pills stolen is around 900,000 from Na Car's man. As the minister walks through the hallway, he finds out from the military officer that Na Car is the drug lord from Myanmar, who's a citizen of Thailand and Laos at the same time. Na Car is a reckless and arrogant drug addict, who turns over the position of former drug kingpin Kunsa. While the minister listens, the military officer also tells that Na Car oppresses the small tribes as he turns the kids into child soldiers, and controls them with drugs. After hearing the statements from the military officer, the minister speaks about wanting to work with the Laos, Burma, and Thailand to improve the security along the Mekong River, but the agreement never happens. So, the minister calls for joint patrols again despite the bloodshed and brutality, in the case in order to clean their fishermen's names. Later, the minister and his men arrive at the Ministry of Public Security for the joint meeting. The minister explains that the conference aims to break past geographical boundaries, and let Chinese officers investigate the 3 nations to capture their common target. He also states about a witness from Thailand named Walla, who confessed about the frame-up made by the Golden Triangle drug lord, Na Car. Upon the meeting, the 4 nations jointly announced the establishment of the Joint Operation Task Force to capture the culprit who murdered 13 Chinese fishers. Later, the task force of the 4 nations begins. The police and military officers from Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, and China successfully arrest the drug dealers in their countries. Meanwhile, Na Car suddenly finds out about China making the other 3 nations take action. On the other hand, Gao begins his mission. Upon landing from the mountain of northern Thailand, Gao meets Fang Znu, the leader of Chifu Intel. Upon their arrival at the site, Gao sees a picture of 3 men who are the backbone of Na Car's group on Fang's investigation wall. Fang then says that Na arranges their duties, and explains suspects' positions. Afterward, Fang states that the region is a no-man's land, a paradise for criminals. Suddenly, Fang mentions Puja holding Na Car's man, Yan Tongfa. He explains that they will get Na's leads if they extract Tongfa. Puja is one of the 5 kingpins in the special region, the powerful one after Na Car. Afterward, Fang reminds Gao that he has already planted a mole at Puja's location, and that Gao only has 15 minutes to complete the mission. A while later, Gao sets a meeting with his men to plan their mission. Later that night, Gao arrives at the district. As he walks, he receives a signal from one of his men that the truck is there. So, Gao quickly runs toward the location of Tuang Fa, yet Gao finds that the target is missing. So, he radios Aphrodite to let Bingo in. As Bingo runs towards the area of Gao, Gao radios Poseidon to stick to the plan. Meanwhile, Na's men are also in the district to kill Tuang Fa. However, Gao firstly locates Tuang Fa with the help of Bingo. As Gao arrives at the location, he radios Panoptes to jam their signals immediately as he snatches Tuang Fa. Afterward, His men take a quick action while Gao takes Tuang Fa when suddenly, Bingo barks as he sees two of Puja's men walking towards them. So, Gao signals Bingo to attack them. Unfortunately, when Gao's men are about to back him up, one of Puja's men sees Gao. So, Panoptes tells Gao to take the rooftop instead to escape. Then he radios Aphrodite to pick up Gao when suddenly Angsa, one of Na's men, sees her driving a car towards Gao's location. Meanwhile, Gao finally reaches the rooftop, and slides with Tuang Fa to escape while his men fight with Puja's men. Afterward, Poseidon radios his comrade for backup. So, his comrade then radios their chief for his permission for the bulls to strike. Fortunately, Gao and his men successfully escape as Aphrodite takes Gao and Tuang Fa to her car, and drives quickly. However, Angsa shoots their vehicle using a missile launcher. Yet, Aphrodite luckily controls the vehicle as Gao shoots back Angsa. But then, Angsa shoots again as Tuang Fa flies out of the car and dies. When Gao attacks the driver of Angsa, Angsa immediately escapes. Later, Fang rages as his informant gets exposed. Fang says that Gao should have retreated as Gao has to do things like Fang's. But then, Gao blames Fang, and tells him that he's responsible for intel while Gao makes the calls. So, Fang says that Gao should follow Fang's lead if they work together. Afterward, Fang and Gao drive to the train station. As Fang enters the train station to give his informant, Gongchai, some cash, Gao suddenly sees Puja and his men outside. So, Gao finds Fang inside to inform him. However, when Fang finally gives the money, Gongchai seeks help, and tells Fang that Puja's men already know his lead. Without hesitation, Fang grabs Gongchai's arms, and runs in the middle of the crowd while Puja and his men catch them. As Gao calls Fang, Fang tells him to protect Gongchai as he handles Puja. Seconds later, Fang runs to distract Puja and his men from catching Gongchai. Then, conversely, Gao runs toward the location of Gongchai to protect him. As Fang continually runs, he suddenly removes his wig and fake beard, so Puja and his men won't identify him. Luckily, Fang escapes from Puja while Gao successfully protects Gongchai from Puja's men. A while later, Fang drives at the location of Gao. As Gao enters the car, he compliments Fang for his look. The following day, Fang and Gao find out a new lead of Na. While they listen to the report, a Chinese officer says that Na has produced meth with raw ingredients bought via an intermediary. His supplier's name is Zhang Dan, a Chinese medicine merchant from China. However, Zhang is already under their custody in Sichuan. Then Fang receives another report about the lead of Pierre, the guy who takes care of Na's middleman, Mr. Czar. Afterward, the Chinese officer tells Gao and Fang that he will put a show to catch Pierre. A while later, Zhang calls Pierre, telling Pierre that he has a new partner to deliver his stuff. After convincing Pierre, Fang disguises again to meet Pierre at the Princess Club. Then, after their meeting, Guo Xun meets them at the front door, and leads them to Gao, who pretends to be Mr. Qian. Then, after all their interactions at the club, Xiaoqi and Qian aboard a yacht, owned by Macau's Wanao Casino as Pierre make a deal to work with them. Then later, Fang and Pierre hear Jipong and Qian argue, so they immediately follow them. Suddenly, Fang realizes that Jipong was a drug dealer in China 5 years ago, whose former name is Xing Deng. Jipong is the one who killed Fang's 10-year girlfriend. Meanwhile, at Yatner Mountain in Golden Special Region, Mr. Czar calls Na to talk about Chen being their reliable source. Afterward, Na agrees with the deal, and informs Mr. Czar that he'll update him about the drop-off time and place. Later that night, Gao joins Fang in drinking as Fang receives a call from Pierre that the deal is on. Then Fang informs Gao that Na Kar and Mr. Czar have taken the bait. Afterward, Gao begins asking Fang about his girlfriend. The following day, Gao and Fang begin their plan. Gao orders Panoptes and Ares to be in charge of the exchange. After that, Ares will back up Icarus' surveillance mission, then Panoptes will join Fang at the mall immediately. While Poseidon, Aphrodite, and Hermes will come with Gao to the mall. Since the mall has 4 exits, the bulls will stand by outside to track down any target. Moments later, Pierre orders his men to drop the money at the road as Zhang tells Pierre that his stuff is inside the 5th and 6th barrel to their right. Afterward, Icarus follows the target's car using the tracker they stick in the money. Then, Icarus informs that he targets number 4 Sanchi. After the exchange, target number 3, Yata, finally arrives at Eastgate to meet Qian, Fang, and Jipong. So, Aphrodite takes charge of checking them. Meanwhile, the chief receives a signal from the tracker in the room as they listen to Sanchi, telling the information to Pshang. On the other hand, Panoptes tells Qian that someone is giving Yata directions using the earbuds to speak to them about their deal. So, Panoptes calls Aphrodite to take action. Then suddenly, Ares finds Na's son, Nahu, on the second floor. So, Ares radios Icarus that Nahu will be their top target. After hearing the discussion between Sham and Sanchi, Icarus immediately goes to Sham's location and follows him. Suddenly, Sham's man texts Sham that someone is following him, which is Icarus. So, Sham takes another way out as Icarus continually follows him. As Icarus opens the door exit, Sham's man attacks him, but Icarus successfully kills him. Then Icarus informs Ares that Sham suddenly disappears. As Fang and Qian make a deal with Jipong and Yata, Jipong suddenly finds out that Fang only disguises, but Fang immediately points the gun at his knee below the table, signaling him to be quiet or else he will get shot. While Icarus and Ares, on the other hand, follow Sham and Sanchi, using the tracker. As they drive, Sham suddenly sees the vehicle of Ares and Icarus in their car rearview mirror, then quickly informs Sanchi about it. Sham then drops the bag that contains a tracker, and confirms that they are being followed. So, Sham tells Nahu about it. Seconds later, Yata and Qian find out about the fake deal. Then suddenly, Yata quickly shoots Gao, disguising himself as Qian while the others follow to shoot. Then, the chaos begins at the mall as Poseidon and Aphrodite catch Nahu. And when Poseidon is about to get Nahu, a kid from Na's group rifles him. But Gao quickly saves Poseidon by shooting the kid back. Then Nahu tries to escape by driving the car, yet Gao and Bingo luckily stop him as the police suddenly interfere and enter the mall. However, Fang misses Jipong because of the police. Afterward, Gao receives a call from their chief, telling him that the kid is stable, while Poseidon's leg can't be saved anymore. Meanwhile, Sham informs Na Kar to leave the Golden Triangle, but he refuses. Then, Phao and Gang, on the other hand, tie Yata on the helicopter as they fly in the sky, making Yata tell the information about his boss, Na Kar. That night, Gao says to Fang that they must grab Nahu in the hospital before escaping. Later, Gao and Fang arrive at the hospital, when suddenly they see Jipong and Nahu escape, so they follow them. Fortunately, Gao and Fang finally catch Nahu as Fang kills Jipong. Meanwhile, at the police station, two kids from Na Kar's group bomb the building where the chief is just outside. Unfortunately, some of the people inside got killed, while the chief got critical. A while later, Gao and Fang visit the chief at the hospital, and inform him that they already got Nahu, and found out Na's location. The following day, Gao and Fang prepare the military. Gao discusses their plan by splitting into 4 teams, and penetrating from south and north, so Na Kar won't escape. As he ends the meeting, Gao reminds the military that their mission is to capture Na Kar and his accomplices alive. Then whoever gets the target will immediately retreat to the meeting point as they'll use their transmitter to call the helicopters for extraction. Upon arrival at Yatner Mountain in Golden Special Region, Panoptes uses his surveillance to check Na's group. At the same time, Gao orders Bingo to put the bag with a bomb to their area discreetly. Seconds later, Fang cleans the north 1 position, and cuts Na's men's neck. Then next, Icarus positions on the south 2 while the others also do the rest. However, Sham and his accomplices find out about Gao, Fang, and their men capturing Na Kar. Sanchi then tells Sham to strike them already, but Sham says let Gao and Fang fight with Na first. Going back to Gao and Fang's mission, Gao orders Panoptes to get ready for action as his men already position themselves on the targets. Suddenly, Sham orders his man to shoot one of Gao's men. Unfortunately, Na's group hear the gunshot, and get their guns, but Panoptes immediately activates the gun-type bombs, and shoot Na's men. Then the rest of Gao's men attack. Then, Gao signals his men to cover them up to enter Na Kar's area. But, Na throws 2 bombs at them, and suddenly escapes using the secret passage inside the shelter. Then, Na activates the bombs on the inside, and runs as he clicks the remote to make it explode. After the explosion, Gao orders Fang to get their injured men out of the area. Then, Aphrodite and Icarus, on the other hand, walk through the tunnel, and catch Jarwin. However, Icarus gets injured because of the explosion. As Na Kar tries to escape with his men, Fang receives a message that the helicopters will leave. Fang then asks about the north 1, only discovering that Na runs while Gao and Bingo are after him. So, Fang orders his man to send Gao's location while the rest leave the mountain. Meanwhile, Gao reaches the cave with Bingo. As Na Kar gets some money from the cave, Sham and his men suddenly appear. However, Na Kar and his men successfully escape the cave, and run toward the field. So, Gao follows them, and starts attacking them. Afterward, Sham's men appear next to the area, and shoot Bingo as Gao escapes to catch Na Kar. Upon running, Fang radios Gao that he's just behind him, and tells him to run as Fang shoots Sham's men. So, Gao gets Na Car, who's running out of breath, and puts him on the boat. Then Gao engines the vehicle to escape, but Sham's men find and follow him, using the remaining ships too. The movie ends with Gao successfully catching Na Car and his accomplices, and turning them over to the Chinese government. While Fang, on the other hand, sacrifices himself on the Mekong River to kill Sham by colliding his boat into his, making it explode, and kill them both. Then after a year, the Intermediate People's Court of Kuanmyung convicted Na Car and his accomplices of intentional murder, drug trafficking, kidnapping, and hijacking of a vessel, and sentenced them to death. Then, Gao honors Bingo and Fang's death, as he also cleans the names of Chinese fishers who are victims of Na Car's hijacking. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.